What's up, everybody? This is episode 106 of the Clappercast. The first couple weeks in November have gone by. I'm Burke, and as always, joined by my co-host Sean. Sean, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm still sitting here laughing at that clip of Rasmus Dahlin trying to shoot the puck in frustration, and he just whiffs on it and falls down at the net.
Yeah, it was kind of a 2-for-1 wombo combo because we also had the Mike Hoffman trying to chase down a puck going into the empty net and then just like exploding into the boards and falling over.
Yeah,
too. So there's two in one week. It was kind of funny.
just a bad week for the guy.
Yeah, a couple banana peels out there.
Yeah. Is there anything else that is more Buffalo than those two clips though?
Probably not. I mean. That pretty much sums it up, I guess. But, I mean, speaking of Buffalo, fans of the team, their wait was finally over. Jack Eichel was traded. His wait is over. His watch is over. He can get that surgery that he wants finally because he was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights, and a 2023 third-round pick joins him going to Vegas. And Buffalo got Alex Tuch, who is also hurt right now, but should be back before Eichel is. Peyton Krebs, pretty young player that's should have a promising future in the NHL.
It's basically Vegas's top prospect who was immediately sent down to the AHL as well.
Yeah, 2022 conditional first, which is top 10 protected. And a 2023 conditional second. So, what do you think? How did Buffalo make out?
Not great. I don't know. I'm not huge on the return that they got for a player like Eichel. Now, I understand that with the fact that he's injured, you don't know, for sure if, when, and how good he's going to be when he gets back. Is this going to be a recurring thing over his career? Like, there's a lot of factors that play into the return on that. But, I mean, Alex Tuch is probably, a midline forward, like 30, 40-point guy mostly. Krebs has a high ceiling, but hasn't been great in Vegas in his first little stint there. And then you get a couple of higher draft picks, and factor into that these are Vegas draft picks, so they're probably going to be, like, bottom 10 in the first round.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Buffalo did okay, but it's definitely not. I don't think this is going to turn out to be like the Matt Duchene trade or anything.
No. That was a better return.
Or like the Erik Karlsson trade or anything like that. But yeah, it's. I mean, they got something for him. It was pretty much guaranteed Jack Eichel was never going to play for Buffalo again.
Yeah,
and
so
there was
basically.
Rumors he was going to get file a grievance with the NHLPA. So
yeah,
that could have been a very long, ugly, drawn out process. So it's good that they got something for him, and that for Jack Eichel he can just get that surgery and move on.
Yeah, and at a certain point, like the player, Jack Eichel ended up having a lot of leverage in this situation, and it kind of handcuffed the Sabres and what they could do, because I don't think every single team was okay with him getting that surgery that he wanted. It just so happened that Vegas and the other team that was in at the end, Calgary, were two teams that were okay with it. So that ended up reducing the amount of teams that would trade for him as well, which ultimately it just ends up lowering the return because you can only do so much when you're forced to trade someone to a certain spot. Unless you're Ken Holland, of course, when he's forced to acquire Duncan Keith for so much for nothing.
Yeah, and I think honestly, probably the most valuable thing out of this for Buffalo is just the cap space. Like, they can get somebody else in who can play top six, so they can spread that money around a bit. Having a guy on your team for $10 million,
it helps them afford Jeff Skinner.
Yeah, exactly. But their team's looking okay. They're kind of on the downward trajectory now, but it's over finally. It was the biggest story that was pending in the NHL for a while, so now it's off of everyone's minds there. It's just, get a couple other guys. Tuch's a fast skater who can, add a bit more scoring talent to that, I don't know, middle six, top six, whatever in Buffalo.
The middle six is the top six in Buffalo.
It's all middle six. Although I will say that Buffalo just played Washington, and Cody Eakin got like a fucking snipe show goal against the Capitals. So, the power of the ginger mullet struck. And that was probably like the highlight of the game for them because they otherwise lost. But I don't know. I mean, like, it's over. They've moved on. It's not like a amazing deal for them, but you've always said you're never really going to get market value for a player like that anyway. And
exactly.
Like you said, Eichel had so much leverage here. It's like, I'm not going to play with you. I'm going to file a grievance. I want what I want. I want the surgery.
Yeah.
And it came down to a couple teams were willing to take that risk with Eichel with a surgery because it's never been done for a professional athlete before.
Hockey player. I think it's been done for someone in like UFC or MMA or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to count UFC, whatever, but no, like, professional athlete essentially, except for someone who gets beat up for a living, has had this done. And so how is his body going to react to that? How is it going to take the day in, day out grind of playing hockey and practicing and getting hit?
How's it going to hold up to the long-term physicality of playing hockey?
Yeah, so that's a huge risk, especially at the dollar amount that he's at. He hasn't played hockey for a while, and before his injury, he looked bad last year.
And Vegas also isn't going to get him until probably
late February. Yeah, like after the
sometime
Olympic break or something.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be ready for the Olympic break at this point, especially because he hasn't played in so long. There's no way he's going to be heading off for that. So
now,
it'll probably just be.
So if Eichel comes back, Vegas has a projected top line of basically Eichel, Stone, and Pacioretty if they all come back from injury and look good. What do you think of that line?
Holy shit. Like, that is just absurd to think that those three could be on the same line.
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to be like that top six in Vegas. Pacioretty, Eichel, Stone, Karlsson, Marchessault, Smith. That is just absurd. The amount of talent, the amount of skill, the two-way prowess that those two lines possess. It's just unreal.
Yeah, that's going to be gross. I think it's a slight upgrade from, like, Chandler Stevenson and Brett Howden as your two centers right now.
Try and remember that lineup I sent you a few days ago when everyone was injured, and it's just like, who are all these players? They don't have anything going for them right now.
Yeah. And so they're going to have an absolutely gross team, but the question right now that kind of everyone is asking is, how are they going to make that work? Because they just added $10 million in salary. And Alex Tuck was already hurt, and he's about 4.5 or something, and it was going to be a stretch for them to fit him in, if everyone was healthy.
Yeah.
And so, do you think they're going to have to make a move to to bring Eichel in once he's off of IR if he comes back before playoffs?
They're going to have to. They're going to have to do some weird trades at the deadline, and they're basically just going to be dumping. Like, I'm targeting looking like Evgeny Dadonov in his $5 million is probably going to be sent out for nothing. Someone like Matthias Janmark or hell, even Chandler Stevenson, now that they have the center upgrade. Those guys are $2.75 million there. You can look at Shea Theodore and Alec Martinez as well at 5.2 and 5.25 as another easy one to trade. Probably get some decent stuff in return to help the prospect pool. But that's also, trade out one of those two defenders with Dadonov, and you've probably fixed the cap situation.
Yeah, and, I think we've talked about this before, but Vegas has never been scared to just ship somebody out. So,
yeah.
If I'm one of those other players that's not Pacioretty, Stone, or Eichel, or Pietrangelo, you probably got to be shaking in your boots a little bit, being like, am I going to be gone?
Yeah.
Because, they were willing to get rid of Fleury, who just won the Vezina
for
fucking nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing.
And then like Schmidt was like, a fifth or something. It's like, all right, bye. We got Pietrangelo. So they're gonna just dump somebody, like you said. I think they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Stevenson, I think, has found a really nice home there. He has a lot of speed and stuff, but like you said, that top six, there's not really spots for him, and I think a team would really like a guy like him. I was kind of surprised he wasn't included in the trade to begin with to Buffalo, but I think maybe just where they're at right now, they kind of need someone to provide a little bit of offense.
Yeah, Vegas still needs that center at this point.
Yeah.
They don't, with all the injuries, they still kind of need Stevenson because he's so versatile for them. He can play top line with their best players. He can play middle six with whoever's healthy.
Yeah. So, if I'm a team in the NHL right now, I'm kind of salivating at the thought of maybe sneaking someone like Shea Theodore off of that team for pretty cheap. Especially with the amount of picks and prospects that Vegas has given up lately. Since they were around, really, they might take an offer with a couple picks and a prospect for someone like Shea Theodore just to free up, $5 million.
I'm sure Vegas would like to get another first round pick and a decent forward prospect because they've traded all their prospects and a lot of their picks away, so they don't really have anybody to come and supplement the team over time here because their core is hitting their kind of the peaks of their careers or just over the top of it, and they're not really going to have anyone to replace it, so that window is going to start closing very, very quickly on them.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging I think it's going to be challenging for them to get rid of people that they would want to get rid of at this point, bringing everybody in, like, I don't know, someone like Braden McNabb or, I don't know how much of a market there is for him compared to someone like Theodore, right? So it's like, I think they might have to give up someone that they might necessarily not want to, but if it's between like Theodore and Eichel, it's like, yeah, you're going to bring Eichel in. But there is a chance that they just pull, number one bullshit and have Eichel come back first round of playoffs, if they make it to playoffs, to just come in and just have like an absolute super team. So I think if that happens again, it's NHL's really got to figure something out there.
I'm surprised they didn't do anything to the LTIR and the cap hit stuff in the playoffs over the last offseason. So if Vegas is going to manipulate that in their advantage again this year, I mean, hell, even Tampa could with Kucherov being out as well. We'll see what happens near the trade deadline if Tampa tries some more number one bullshit stuff and get some loading up for the playoffs again. But the NHL has to step in at a certain point. Like, neither of these teams are breaking any rules. They're just really, really manipulating what's available to them, and kind of defeating the purpose of a lot of it, just storing guys on LTIR for extra cap space.
Yeah, I mean, it is number one bullshit. I think the biggest issue that's facing the league that's not like a scandal, it's the biggest like rules thing.
Yeah,
that's kind of in the face of the league right now. But yeah, it's just gross to look at the the projected roster of Vegas if everyone was healthy and everyone was able to play, like just an absolute powerhouse of a team.
What's fun is the NHL official social media accounts were putting out like the projected roster if everyone were healthy right now or when everyone's healthy. And the projected roster that they're promoting is $10 million over the cap and doesn't have a backup goalie.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that and like, okay, so the NHL is basically like okaying the number one bullshit mentality of just icing $10 million over the cap.
Yeah. Way to go, social media guy.
Yeah.
It's funny because like Vegas, when they've had all these injuries, they've been having to like, they did it last year, they're doing it this year, they're having to like ice like less than a full roster, or they're having to like have guys that play defense play like forward and weird shit. So it's like, if they do get to that point, they're not going to have a full roster. It's going to be like, Eichel, Pacioretty, Stone will play like 25 minutes.
Oh, exactly.
That Carlson line will play like 25 minutes. And then you'll have like Matthias Janmark, Chandler Stevenson, and like, Nick
Keegan
Waugh or
Kolzar.
someone like play like the rest of the minutes, and they won't be able to have a fourth line because they won't
Exactly.
be cap compliant.
Exactly.
So
They're gonna end up having to roll like 10 forwards, 5 defenders, and not even dress a backup.
yeah, it's gonna be like beer league where it's like you got like 8 guys that show up. It's like, all right, this is our crew. Like, let's see if
Yeah.
we can beat like the Dallas Stars tonight. Probably, like
We're Vegas, why not?
yeah. So it's an interesting move for Vegas. And I did want to just kind of talk briefly, not spend a whole lot of time on it, but just with that rumored offer from the Calgary Flames. And how thankful Calgary Flames fans must be that was not real or never panned out because it was offered. It was like Matthew Tkachuk, a former first, so probably like Monahan, another first, and like a prospect or something.
2 prospects.
It's like, yeah, like the team's like so hot right now. Like they're kind of in a race with Oilers for like top of the division. And yeah, you're going to just like completely mortgage the rest of your season for Jack Eichel, like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, so that was some. I wonder who leaked it or who did that, because like Kevin Weeks tweeted the rumored Calgary offer, and I'm wondering like who fed him that info or who kind of told him to send that out.
It's probably Vegas. like, oh yeah, this is what the other offer is, and then other teams are like, oh well, if that's the offer, we have no chance. So then Vegas had their like, lowball offer that got accepted.
Yeah. But I mean, as an Oilers fan here, I would be quite happy with that because we would no longer have to play Matthew Tkachuk all those times every year. That would be nice.
But then you would hear every Battle of Alberta, Eichel versus McDavid, first versus second. Like, you'd hear that all the time.
Yeah. we'd get the Crosby Ovechkin rivalry special on those two.
Yeah, where the players don't give a shit, but like the media hypes it up. Yeah.
But it would be fun to hear in all the Battle of Alberta as Connor's better in the arena.
Yeah, so I mean, like I'm sure it'll be interesting when Vegas plays Edmonton, but anyway, I guess we should. Speaking of Edmonton, we should probably just mention McDavid is absolutely gross. That goal.
Oh, that's like goal of the century right there.
Yeah, that was insane. That was literally beer league. Like, a guy who's played like junior, playing against like a bunch of like house players. That's the shit that happens.
Oh yeah,
just going through the whole other team. Basically.
4 guys and the goalie in his own. They just can't even touch him.
Yeah, he's just like that totally next caliber. It's just insane.
Oh yeah. See, the other fun part about that game, this goal that we're talking about happened against Edmonton Oilers versus New York Rangers, and it earlier in this game it was 4-1 Rangers. Leon Draisaitl apparently skated past one of the Rangers, and he was like, "Hold on, it's coming." And then Edmonton scores like 3 goals in the next 10 minutes or something to tie it up.
Yeah.
That's just such a great show of whatever confidence and energy is flowing around that dressing room right now.
Yeah, I saw a thing and it was like Draisaitl is such like a antithesis of like McDavid, like personality wise.
Yeah.
Like, he's just got that cockiness.
Yeah,
like
he's got that cheeky cockiness, and it's not like an overconfidence thing. It's like he's just cheeky about it.
He just knows how good he is and how good McDavid is. And then like McDavid, when he was asked about the goal, he's like, yeah, I got a job to do and I did it.
Yeah. I'm paid to score big goals.
Yeah, so I did it. It's like, okay, yeah, it was gross. We all saw that fucking picture of you being like, whoa. Like,
McDavid is all of us right now, and he's got this like this absolutely shocked expression on his face when he scored that goal. And it's like, yeah, you're all of us right now.
Yeah,
how the hell
all of us saw
that?
You just dangle 4 people who you made look like pylons.
Yeah. Like, they basically, the way they were flapping their sticks around trying to get hold of him in any way was just like those flamingos bouncing up and down for water.
You know what it reminded me of a little bit of is, like Hockey Night in Canada, how they used to have that intro where it showed like that Lemieux goal where he like stick handles through some guys on like the North Stars or something. and he like falls over, and then like he like goes to his knees and scores. Kind of reminded me of that because it just goes through like the entire team, and it's like just no
Like,
problem.
yeah, no effort, just goes.
And like the Mario Yager connection here, I think you'll probably know this stat better than me, but Draisaitl and McDavid are the first players since I think Mario and Yager to have such a hot start, right?
Yeah, it's like 20 points in the first 9 games or something. The first time since Mario and Yager did that. The one that I saw was 95-96, but I think it was done more recently by those two as well. But just as either way, like as a reference of how out of this world those two players are, McDavid and Draisaitl this season.
Yeah, it's just been absolutely dominant. It's so fun to watch. They're just so exciting and dangerous. Now that McDavid has a one-timer, it's just so much better. But yeah, I mean, fun time to be an Oilers fan for sure. And I know you probably don't like it, but maybe a part of you secretly does. But for me, as kind of a neutral hockey fan, it's exciting to see Edmonton and Calgary kind of doing well at the same time.
Oh, it totally is. Come on, the Battle of Alberta is the pinnacle of hockey for me to watch, and it's it's one of those best rivalries in the league. So it's not a lot of fun when both teams suck or one team just blows the other out of the water every game. It's always nice when they're actually competitive. So Edmonton and Calgary right now sitting at a 1-point difference in the standings. It just brings new meaning to that rivalry because it could very likely have playoff implications. It's just it's so much more fun to watch when these two teams are both good at the same time.
Yeah. Calgary's on like a 10-game point streak. Like they're 7-0-3 during that time. Jacob Markstrom has been sensational for them.
Early Vezina favorite.
Yeah, my guy. Love Markstrom so much. So I'm happy. I'm happy for him. But yeah, they've looked really good. So yeah, it's exciting to have them both be, competitive because there's a number of years there where either one of them was competitive and the other one wasn't, or they were both kind of in the bottom. And the Battle of Alberta was always exciting, but it was like, this.
There's never any energy to it. It was just like another game.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple more hits than normal.
So it's kind of fun to have that, kind of akin to that, that Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh kind of thing, the Battle of Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's exciting to see.
We saw Mikhail Sergachev with just an incredibly stupid play. He got suspended for 2 games for an illegal check to the head on Mitch Marner, and it was just such an unnecessary hit, an unnecessary play, and you just kind of question what he was thinking following through on that.
Yeah, and like you see, like Marner getting like hooked down the entire ice too on that right before that. So he's like getting hooked the entire way, and then Sergachev just comes in from the side and just like blows him up, and it's like why?
Yeah, that's such a dangerous hit, completely unnecessary. Like the way that Marner was being held up, you don't even need to go for the body; you just block him, and he's not doing anything.
Yeah, he's already being impeded pretty significantly.
It's also Marner; he's not going to physically go through someone like Mikhail Sergachev.
Yeah, I think you can outmuscle that guy probably. Yeah, so definitely agree with the suspension. I feel like it was the right number of games.
Yeah, 2 games is pretty standard, but it's appropriate for this one.
Yeah, for sure.
In a surprise to basically nobody, we've got Brady Tkachuk, who's now captain of the Ottawa Senators, their first captain in a few years, I think, since Karlsson got traded. Yeah,
there was an outside chance it was going to be Shabbat, but just kind of the way that the signing was handled with Tkachuk, kind of had a feeling it was going to be him, like, having him with Dorian, and he had like the standing ovation when he signed and he was in the building for the first game, and it's just like what he means to that franchise is it's just so much. And Shabbat does mean a lot too, and he plays like half of each game, but Tkachuk is just like a heart and soul guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's he. Yeah, like you said, he means so much to the team. He means so much to the organization, and he's just the type of player that you want to build around with his play style, with what he contributes on the ice as well. Like he's always physically engaged. He's a stat line legend. Puts up in every single stat. He's always trying to get involved. Like I think on multiple occasions last season, he's trying to get into fights with people to spark things. Just his play style, it's just everything about him just screams captain.
Yeah, so really, really well picked, I think. Well-deserved captaincy. And I don't know how many other teams don't have a captain right now. I think it's like the Rangers.
It's 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the graphic the league put out.
I guess Montreal kind of doesn't have a captain right now. Technically on the ice anyway.
Arizona, Buffalo, Calgary, and the Rangers.
Calgary, that's so on each of those teams. Who do you think is?
Arizona, I don't think it's worth it at all because I don't think whoever the next captain will be is probably not even on the team right now.
Yeah, probably.
Like I can't see they're gonna need to shake things up. They're gonna need to bring in a lot of different players, and I don't think too many players are even signed out past the next season or two. So there's gonna be so much turnover. It's not worth naming a captain. Do you see anyone else in Arizona getting that C?
No, I mean like the only guy I think that might be is Chikrin, but like I don't know if he's gonna be around. Like I think we talked about this last episode, but it's just like that guy's going to get the green jacket this year. He's already at like -20. He's got 1 point. I think it was like an assist on like a dump in. And so it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody, unless you go like the meme answer, like Louis Erickson or something. Like, I don't think anyone's going to be, I don't think anyone wants to be captain of that team right now. They don't want to have that on your resume, right?
Captain the Coyote's going to toss that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just have it like a literal coyote be like the captain of the Coyotes, and then you're better off.
Not, right?
And then, so we got Buffalo. I don't know if Darlene's really a captain type.
I don't see him taking control of anything on the ice enough to be a captain quite yet.
Yeah, I don't see anybody really that sticks out. Maybe like Opozo or Gergensons or something like that.
Yeah, they might have like a placeholder captain for a couple of seasons. Someone like Jurgensen, who seems to have a lot of respect in the organization and seems to be a bit of a strong player for them. He's not like a star by any means, but someone that the team, the fans, the other players seem to really value. So it could be a stopgap for a couple of years until one of the prospects comes up.
Yeah, and whoever kind of has the voice of the room, right? Like, so if it's him or if it's Opozo or I don't know, somebody else. I could see them naming somebody this year now that the whole Eichel thing is done, but maybe give it like a week or two or something to kind of settle.
At least, if not even leave it for the season, because that's kind of a lot of drama that's been following the organization for a while, and just a total shift in locker room dynamics over the last year. So it'd be probably wise just to let it sit, let the locker room mesh, because they've had a lot of turnover, and just kind of see who emerges as a leader in the room.
Yeah, and then there's Calgary on the list, so I think it's probably Tkachuk.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that they kept him, the direction that the team's taking with bringing Daryl Sutter in, with bringing in physical players like Coleman, Gudbranson, Zadorov, I think that says to me that they're taking Matthew Tkachuk's side in the, do we support his antics thing that was happening in the locker room last year? And I think it's probably Matthew Tkachuk is the likely captain.
Yeah. I mean, even if you did want to go with a more skill kind of guy, like I don't think any of the guys on the team really make sense. So
no, because it'd basically be Monahan or Backlund, because they've got the A's right now. So I think it'd be one of them getting promoted.
Yeah. So it's got to be Matthew Tkachuk. And then what was the other team?
The Rangers.
Now, that one's kind of interesting because there's a lot of different guys, but, I mean, my pick is probably Kreider. I think he's the longest tenured Ranger. I don't know how much longer he's going to be there, but there's kind of a lot of interesting picks there, whether it's like Kreider or Zibanejad or Panarin or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a lot of players capable of being a captain, probably.
But you remember like the whole like Tony D'Angelo thing? Apparently it was Kreider that like got involved in that. There was like that rumor that like he kind of, stepped in.
Yeah.
So it seems like he's kind of a well-respected guy. He's been there for a while.
He seems to be another
the guy.
Yeah, he seems to be another one of those one of the emotional leaders of the team as well. That they seem to rally around him a lot, and he's always really active on the ice. He's always really engaged with everything going on. So he does seem to be a leading candidate for me as well.
Yeah, I wonder when they'll pick a captain, because I think it's been a while in New York since, what was it, Callahan or McDonough or something like that.
17-18 according to Wikipedia. So yeah, it'd be
been a hot minute. I mean, at this point, like they're rolling. So do they need to pick one?
Exactly. Like that's the thing too. It's like these locker rooms are all gonna function. They're like the people who are leaders are gonna be leaders regardless of if they have the C on their jersey.
Yeah, but who's gonna talk to the ref?
It's just gonna be Gallant yelling from the bench.
Yeah, probably.
But no, I guess like they have like 6 players rotating through the A's right now. Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad, Strome, Goodrow, and Trouba.
Oh yeah, so they got a good mix there.
Yeah,
of forwards, defense, role players, star players.
Yeah,
kind of interesting there.
Kind of hit all the different segments of the roster.
Yeah.
Earlier today, the Anaheim Ducks placed executive VP and general manager Bob Murray on administrative leave, pending the results of an investigation into unprofessional conduct. So we don't know a whole lot right now. Darren Dreger speculates it's basically one of those... It was like him being intimidating and threatening to staff. So threatening job security and stuff along that lines of where he's just being a real dick in the office, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. There's obviously no information out right now. The investigation is ongoing, so we can't really do much other than reports or pass on tweets that we've seen. But it's just yet another one. I mean, it's just, I tweeted this earlier on the account, but it's just that gif from Futurama of like 0 days since the last accident. Fry's trying to hammer up the 1 and it just misses. He just puts it into his hand and it's back to 0.
Yeah. NHL, if you're listening, I have a perfect, immaculate track record, have never had any incidents. I am definitely willing to work for an organization. Call me up.
Yeah.
I've got a business degree. I can join the team. Get me in there.
Yeah, that's the way to break in.
Yeah. I am not a creepy old man that has a lot of skeletons in my closet, and
Now you just said a lot of skeletons. Does that imply a few?
No, I have none.
There
I
you
am
go.
I've been a perfect boy my entire life. No creepiness. Nothing to dig up. So give me a job. I will not have any, slander of the league or anything like that.
We'll submit this as a video resume for
yeah,
Bob Murray's
get me in there. So yeah, it's just, it makes you wonder how many more of these things are going to come up.
Yeah.
I think it's overall it's good that these things are coming up because there's like more of a culture of like, hey, that person said something, I'm going to say something too because that's something similar happened to me.
It's accountability and consequences.
Yeah, and seeing that it's, people are more accepting to hearing that stuff and do something about it. So that's really awesome to see that people are coming forward with this stuff because, it's like any business or industry. There's things like that happen that people in the industry know about, but people outside the industry might not have ever heard about.
Stuff that they aren't part of, so they can't really say anything or don't know enough to say anything, or the people involved are just too scared because like you have people like Aldrich threatening their jobs or Bob Murray threatening their jobs.
And then they all know each other. Like, look at the Chicago thing. Look at how many teams that have people who are tied with that in their team, right? So it's like they all know each other. They all know. There's probably people who are like blacklisted, and
Yeah, and it's
or
all
blackballed rather. So it's like an old boys club, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you made a stink when you were in Chicago, so now you can never join, Winnipeg or whatever, like that's the sort of stuff that can happen.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the whole thing with Akeem Alou. When he kind of called out the hazing stuff going on in junior, he just ended up missing out on so much and getting blacklisted by organizations. Like he missed out on World Juniors, even though he's one of the best younger players for Canada. It's just stuff like that. You're always worried about it coming back to impact your career in that way. So
yeah, it's sad, but hopefully whatever needs to get investigated does, and we get some truth out of it all. I guess in a lighter topic, did you see the thing where Cole Caulfield's father came out and said he's not very happy with the Utica Comets, saying they bullied his son over the weekend?
Oh God, what was this? I never saw this tweet.
Guess what his dad's name is?
It's Paul. Isn't
it? Yeah.
Okay. Attention, men named Paul are not allowed to be hockey parents.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just so funny. It's like Paul Marner, Paul Caulfield. Just if there's anybody else in the league whose dad's name is Paul, like, whoa, look out.
Right?
And then it's like, why does someone's dad need to come out and say, like, this team bullied my son? I don't know what the context is. Maybe it was a tweet, or maybe it was like on the ice, but
the tweet is the Utica Comets tweeting, "Yo, at Cole Caulfield, are you here? Everyone keeps saying you're here, but we haven't noticed. Did you not play the first period?" And it's since been deleted.
Oh, come on. Keep it up. Yeah, professional athlete gets bullied by opposite team. Like, good thing his dad is on watch and can make things better for him. I'm sure nobody in the league will make fun of him for his dad now. Way to go, Paul.
It looks like the tweet got deleted, and a lot of people were trashing Utica for the tweet. So I don't think it's just Paul Caulfield.
Still, it's lighthearted ribbing. It's not a big deal.
I feel like the lighthearted ribbing shouldn't imply specific people. You wanna trash talk with the teams like a lot of the organizations do. That's probably fine, but it's like when you start calling out specific players, it's probably taking it a bit far.
I have no problem with it personally. There's probably a lot of people that tweet directly at Cole Caulfield a lot of worse things.
Oh, yeah.
They're not, organizations, but I feel like, the NBA and other NHL teams and stuff do a lot of that. So it's just funny that his dad has to make a comment on it.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you get your agent to say something if it bothers you to, like, the team, not your dad. I doubt Cole Caulfield told his dad to say something, but
yeah, I don't see a whole lot of info about this one.
Anyway,
so it's hard to say exactly where it went, but yeah.
Anyway, lots of Pauls are. So next time when Caulfield's contract's up for renewal, watch out for his dad telling him what to do.
And before Caulfield signs for $10 million.
Yeah, holds out.
Yeah, so a few days ago, Chicago fired Jeremy Colleton, their head coach. Derek King is the interim coach, but thoughts on that?
When it gets to the point where the coach is literally letting the players drop the play before, like, a power play and stuff, you kind of know that he's probably not long for this world.
Yeah, you've probably lost the room at that point.
Yeah, it's like, here you go. You guys draw it up. You guys won't do what I say, so you might as well make your own play.
Yeah.
And apparently he just was making some weird decisions, and, like,
we start the season 2-9-2, and yeah, there's something going on there.
Oh, like I saw, like, people who watch more of the Blackhawks were saying like he was running some like weird combination of like zone and man-to-man defense, and it just wasn't working.
So he tried to go big brain like Dallas Eakins did in Edmonton, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, it's like, let's shake things up. It's like you got like Patrick Kane on your team. What do you need to do? Like, why do you need to make like such? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like,
yeah, Patrick Kane has single-handedly taken that team into the playoffs before. I don't think you need to do a whole lot.
Yeah, your game plan should literally be give Kane the puck.
Yeah, give Kane the puck, let him skate around, and then see if he can find DeBrincat. That's it.
Yeah, so
everyone else can stay on the bench.
But anyway, his defensive style or whatever, his system, it was apparent it wasn't working because Fleury had saw more high danger chances than he did like in his previous year in Vegas or like his previous like 3 years of Vegas or something within like the first couple weeks in Chicago. So it's like, they've got like a overall lower talent level defense, but it shouldn't be that crazy of a difference in the NHL.
What do you mean? They have Seth Jones now.
Yeah, they've got Seth Jones, Connor Murphy.
But yeah, that basically says it all. That you can't give up that many high danger chances in your first 10 games and expect to have any sort of success.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their defense, who else do they even have?
Is DeHaan playing right now? Or is he hurt?
I think he's in. Yeah, Seth Jones, Calvin DeHaan, Jake McCabe, Connor Murphy, Riley Stillman, Eric Gustafson. So it's not like
I thought we were naming defenders here.
Yeah, so it's not ideal, but it's not like Gustafson's playing 30 minutes a night. He's probably playing 5, if at all. But
a team with that level of defense should be closer to the middle, probably where they were last season, I imagine, not second last in the league.
Yeah. So, and they've got quite a few young forwards, so they're gonna make some mistakes and stuff. But they shouldn't be that crazy bad. So I think it's good that they fired him because it was time. I think during his whole time with the team, he was making some weird line combinations, and fans were always upset at just some of the decisions he was making. So, kind of a long time coming. And then, it's also, I think it's kind of good for the team to just kind of clear house a little bit. Not that Colleton was around when any of that other stuff happened, but it's just kind of mental break. Bring somebody else in, shift the players' focus back onto playing. I want to give some kudos actually to Patrick Kane, because in his first comments on the whole Kyle Beach thing, he came across as being kind of similar to Taves, where it's the guys are good guys, and they might not have known what they were talking about, but he had a second, I don't know, I guess comments, or someone asked him again about it a couple days later. And he actually said, I'm sorry for what I said. It took away from Kyle, and, he just kind of apologized for kind of coming from a place of ignorance. And then, I guess a wag of the finger here to Jonathan Toews, because he kind of doubled down on when he was asked about it again. He just totally misunderstood. He said, oh, I didn't want to try and take away from Kyle or anything. It was just weird. He just totally missed the point about why people were upset with him about what he said. And he thought that he was taking attention away from Kyle, but it was no, that's not why people are mad at you. They're mad at you because you're siding essentially with the guys who were pieces of shit. You're not expressing any sort of empathy for what Kyle went through and your own part in that. All you had to say was we fucked up, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it was Patrick Kane, of all people, has his rough spots with PR and everything, but he was able to say, I'm sorry, and blah, 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 whereas Jonathan Toews, who's always been kind of considered a more of a stand-up guy or whatever,
Yeah.
just kind of completely missed the point. And so it's like it's really hard to. There's just such that there's like that culture in hockey where it's like teammates and blah blah blah, and I don't know, just completely missing the point like that on the second time after having a few days to kind of think about it. It was really really weird to see.
Well,
I don't know. Did you see those comments?
I did, yeah. So I saw Kane. He kind of stepped back and realized that he kind of was quite dismissive and ignorant in the first comments he made. He did kind of clear things over. Like you said, Taves doubled down. He didn't really get it publicly. I don't know what he's at, where he's at right now, but that he's not really, doesn't seem to really understand the severity of the situation, and doesn't really do a lot to help dispel the possibility that he was involved in the cover-up, in not taking action or not encouraging the team to take action or whatever. I want to give out another finger wag to Duncan Keith too, because he's been asked multiple times, and he's always like, "Oh, I don't know anything, and then he got asked again, and he was kind of like, I didn't agree, because he was one of the players who refused to be interviewed for the investigation. And he said he refused to be interviewed because I didn't think I had anything helpful to say. And, he says he regrets it now. If I could go back, I would do it. But he's like, I didn't have anything to say, so I didn't think it would help. And then he also says, oh, I had just been traded to Edmonton, so it was a busy week for me and I wasn't thinking straight. It's like, dude, really? Because you could have just told your agent to be like, okay, I'll do that in a week when things settle down. Like, why is this trade? Why is the trade that you forced the team to make to a specific team? You knew you were going to get traded. You knew where you were going to be traded to. Why is that such a stressful week that you can't tell your agent to push this interview into a significant investigation, back a week while you settle down? The whole thing, like, he's just really he's really missed the mark on everything, and it just really sucks to now have to watch him on the team that I cheer for.
Yeah, it really kind of casts a shadow on his involvement in the whole thing if you're not willing to be open and talk about it. It's like, if you have nothing to hide, why wouldn't you be willing to take part in that conversation?
Yeah.
And if you choose not to, like, it just makes you look terrible. So even if you are completely innocent and didn't know anything, it's like you're choosing to look like you are not that way.
The thing too is, like, he's gonna go and get asked about locker room dynamics and give information on who talks to who does what, who, like, which little cliques are in the locker room and stuff. Like, all of that is useful information to figuring out what's going on and where this spreads in their locker room. Whether or not you knew what happened it doesn't exactly matter, because you're still going to be able to provide information on the room, the players, the dynamics of what's going on, and that can be helpful in figuring out, like, what happened, why it was shut down, why people weren't doing anything about it.
Yeah.
But instead, you just make it look like you didn't do anything yourself, and you don't want to actually have to be held accountable for it.
Exactly. And I guess while we're on this finger wag, whatever the other one is, kudos. Kevin Sheldayoff, guess kudos to him, because the only person that identified that he was in those meetings and in those conversations was him. Nobody else had mentioned he was there or anything, and when he was asked to partake in it, he did, and he mentioned he was there and exactly what happened. And so it's like, that's the way you should do things. It's like, yes, I was there. This is what I was there for. This is what I heard, blah, blah, blah. And that's someone who's got nothing to hide, right? It's like,
Exactly.
I was there. This is what happened. I remember that. This is
basically
exactly
all he had
everything.
to contribute was, I was there. I was called in last minute to this meeting that I didn't really know much about. I learned about the situation, and my superior said they were going to handle it, and that was the last I heard of it until Aldrich got released a couple weeks later, and I figured that was their solution, or that was the investigation that they had talked about. That's someone who doesn't have anything to hide, because he's like, here's exactly what happened from my perspective. I was the only one that knew I was there.
Yeah, so he contributed new information to the investigation, saying he was in the room for one of those meetings and just said exactly what happened. It's like...
Yeah. It's like, even if you don't know what happened, even if you're telling the truth and you don't know what happened, sit in and talk about the situation and what's going, or the locker room at the time and the players and the conversations and stuff that was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Duncan Keith has always been a weirdo, so that's just, another kind of nail in the coffin for, who he is as a person outside of hockey. Like, whatever his talent level is on the ice, it's like, man, you either have something you need to hide, or you missed a real opportunity here to be on the right side of, the conversation.
Yeah.
By choosing to just stay quiet, it speaks volumes about who you are and what you value, and So anyway, it's just weird. Very, very bizarre. But what do you expect from someone who thinks red lights can, I don't know, boost his health and stuff?
Yeah.
Honestly. So yeah, the other thing that I have is that Carolina finally lost. I take great solace in that. They finally lost. They lost to the Florida Panthers.
Okay.
And so they did go down like 4-0 in the first, and they kind of made it more of a game. So I think they just kind of had a slow start and didn't really bring their A game. But they're still a great team. But it took Florida to beat them. So they're not going to go 82-0. Confirmed.
Yeah, was Florida the other undefeated team, or did they lose before that?
I think they had lost before that, and so I think Carolina was the last.
Oh yeah, they did. Actually, no, they didn't. They lost in a shootout. So they were technically undefeated in regulation heading into Carolina.
Ah.
And then they lost to the Rangers after Carolina, so they're also defeated now, technically.
Yeah. So the last have fallen.
Yeah. I think, what was that, like the first time in NHL history two teams were like 9 or 10-0?
Probably. I know it was like the first time, I think, that
or
teams
9
were like
9-0. 9-0. Carolina's only won 9 games.
I think it was the first time this year that a team in each division or something had gone like 6-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta hope that Colorado turns it around here soon. They had a slow start.
Damn. They are 27th in the league right now. They're with
I mean, it's like
they're stuck between powerhouses Dallas and Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, like they are only like 4-5-1, so it's like not too crazy, but it's like, Minnesota's 8-3-0, so sooner or later they're gonna have to try and turn it around here.
Yeah, they got a lot of catching up to do, because it's hard to make up those points.
Yeah, so that's kind of the one team that I'm really kind of keeping an eye on, because like what's gonna happen there? Are they gonna stay there and have like a really disappointing year, or are they gonna turn it around?
They just went in on the top draft pick this year. I think it's supposed to be a deep draft, so they just went in.
Yeah, just real quick, give us a draft pick that we can immediately put into our lineup for next year.
If they even have a first, actually. I don't even know if they do.
Probably not.
No, they don't. They don't have a first or a second or a fourth.
So don't tank.
Yeah. This is the wrong season to tank, Colorado.
Somebody tell Sakic. All right, well, I think that's probably it for the week.
That wraps things up for this time here on Clappercast. Make sure you rate and review this episode and toss a follow or subscribe our way. For more content, you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Clappercast Media or on Twitter at Clappercast. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with more hockey talk.